Hey, Intrapulation here, and this is The Journey of Graves, or rather, the first book of The Journey of Graves, When the Man Comes Around, because how could we start anywhere else? The author, of course, is Gentleman J, link in description if you would like to read along or read any of his stories. Now before I begin, I have to say something I accidentally left out of the introductory video. That being, it would be of a great help if I could have assistance. That being said, I would like to inquire of assistance. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, I'm a guy, surprisingly, and a lot of the characters in this story are female. It would be amazing if someone were to lend me their beautiful voice. And of course, I mean someone who is of a female variety. I don't care if you're a guy and you can do Fluttershy oh so well. That doesn't matter to me. So, indubitably, if you are a lady and wish to assist me with the female roles of the story, I would very much appreciate it. You don't have to be greatly talented or anything. I'm not. I'm just an idiot with a microphone. But it'd be nice if I had someone to help me. Now, what can I offer you? I can't offer any monetary gain, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not making anything from this. Though I can offer a few things. Namely, credit, even though nobody watches these videos. I can create puppets of your OC, Pointy, or the regular versions, and include them within animations, including a new one which I would be animating for the credits, if you were so inclined to join, or anybody else. You can be my friend. That's something. How many people are my friends? I'm so lonely. Anyway, that's it. If you would like to join me in reading the story by allowing me to use your beautiful, wonderful, amazing voice, then drop me a line. You can either PM me on YouTube, link in description for my account, or you can message me on Skype, whatever you want. Also, link in description. Either or, I hope anyone, takes that offer, because I could really use the help. I mean, I can do all the voices, but who wants to hear me do female voices? I mean, come on. Anyway, it's time to begin reading the story. There's a lot of people who have been waiting for this, including one specific gentleman, wink, wink. But, let's begin, without any further ado. When the Man Comes Around, by Gentleman J, Chapter 1. Ponyville was quite a wonderful place indeed. Located in Equestria's western countryside, you could say this little community was the perfect example of small-town goodness. Far removed from the larger metropolitans, no big city problems ever intruded on Ponyville's perpetually sunny weather and warm seasons, or on the equally sunny disposition of its inhabitants. So when it's said that the atmosphere of Ponyville had taken on a decidedly more festive air, one can only imagine the sheer magnitude of excitement present in that little town. Just what had spurred this sudden influx of cheer and goodwill? Well, some of the more dangerous wild creatures of Equestria's bestiary had recently appeared on the country's borders, near the Everfree Forest to be precise. Now, while this in itself was no reason for celebration, the fact that Princess Celestia had ordered a contingent of royal guards to protect the town most definitely was. The crimson-garbed officers, recruited from the finest of Equestria's guardsmen, were the heroes of the people. The simple fact that they were coming to Ponyville was reason enough to celebrate, and that the princess had personally ordered them here was further reason still. Thus, the entire town prepared to welcome them in a traditional Ponyville fashion. And that meant a party. Everywhere you looked, people were hustling and bustling in busy activity. Streamers and banners were hung, tents and tables set, and from every house, the delicious smell of baking pastries and savory cooking wafted into the fresh spring air. Yet despite the rush of preparation, a smile could be seen on every face, and a laugh on every lip as the townspeople seemed to enjoy preparing for a celebration almost as much as the festivities themselves. After all, the citizens had gotten quite good at throwing parties, since you never needed much of an excuse to have one. Amidst all the chaos and clamor, it was no surprise that the arrival of a single traveler didn't rouse much notice. Sure, the people who ran into him on the streets greeted him with a smile and a warm hello, but with so much to be done, nobody could pay him much mind despite the oddity of his appearance. And indeed, his appearance was odd. In Ponyville, bright colors were the norm, as colors tend to reflect a cheery atmosphere. Furthermore, having many farms and fields in close proximity never prevented the town from remaining by and large a very clean, well-kept place. This traveler was neither the broad, flat-brimmed hat and the long coat he wore made of leather, sturdy and serviceable, but dark brown in color and stained from travel. His entire person was coated in a layer of coarse dust, not the powdery kind you find indoors, but the gritty, almost sand-like dust that comes from long days on the road. Where this road came from, it was hard to say, because besides the small canvas knapsack, the only other item on the traveler was a long, wrapped bundle on his back, though unusual enough that it was almost the same height as him, only about as broad as his leg. The plain cloth wrapping gave no hint of its contents. Beyond the superficial difference in outward trappings, though, there was a much deeper difference about the person himself. With his hat pulled low over his forehead, few clearly saw the traveler's face, but those who did paused for a moment in surprise. Tall and well built, he would have been quite the good-looking fellow if his eyes hadn't been so startling. Gunmetal gray and almost unblinking, his eyes seemed strangely disconnected, and as if he was always looking at something far off in the distance. Few understood the significance of that look, but even those who didn't knew one thing. This young man had seen more of the world than most. A lot more. Still, preparations were foremost on every mind, and thoughts of the lone traveler quickly faded under the hurry of things to do. Alone amidst a bustling crowd, the traveler weaved through traffic towards what looked like to be a large bakery called Sugar Cube Corner. Not a place he'd usually frequent, but he was tired and wanted at least a bite to eat before setting out again. Pushing open the swinging door, the traveler found himself in a clean, spacious room filled with bright spring sun. The simple wooden tables, which at this time of the day would usually be packed by the breakfast rush, stood empty with chairs neatly stacked away. Understandable, really, since everyone was out and running errands for the celebration. As it was, the only other person in the room was an aproned girl who stood behind the counter, polishing away at a tray of glasses. "Excuse me," the traveler called out, his voice low and slightly gravelly, as if it wasn't used to getting used so much. Could I? The rest was cut off as the girl spun around, her veritable mane of curly pink hair flying about as she met him with the biggest grin he had ever seen.
Why, hello there! I didn't expect to see anyone around today, not with the big party coming up and everyone rushing around like headless chickens getting ready. But then again, I guess you haven't heard yet since you just came into town and... Wait!
She gasped, her already large, sparkling eyes growing even larger and sparklier, if that was at all possible.
Are you new in town?
Yeah. I was...
Well, hello there!
She squealed, vaulting over the counter and giving him a very big and rather unexpected hug.
My name's Pinkie Pie, probably because of my hair, because it has something to do with my favorite color, pink, but that doesn't matter. You're new! I just love seeing new faces around here. Of course, I love seeing old faces too, and that's just about everyone. Since I know about everyone in town, but the new faces are also great. And when I saw you, I thought, gee, I haven't seen this person before. He must be new, and I was right.
Somehow, through that non-stop tirade, Pinkie Pie had managed to usher the traveler in, got him seated, set his bags aside, and laid out his tableware, all while keeping up an incessant stream of chatter.
So where do you come from, mister?
The bubbly girl asked, remaining in and out of the kitchen, yet somehow remaining clearly audible the entire time.
I bet it was a long ways away, since your clothes are all P.U., and that must mean you're hungry. I can't even walk down to Applejack's without wanting a snack, and you probably came from a lot further than that. Oh, I know. I still have some of that stuff I baked for the party today. By the way, you should stick around for the party. Can you believe Princess Celestia is sending her royal marshals out here? Oh, it's so exciting! I just can't believe it!
Unable to get a word edgewise, the traveler only watched as Pinkie stacked up enough baked goods to feed a family. There were pies and pastries, cakes and crumbles, tarts and turnovers, and more pastries that the traveler could only begin to guess at. It was as if Pinkie Pie had unloaded the entire bakery onto his table.
twice. Well, anyways, that's pretty much what's going on around here today, she concluded, finally beginning to wind down. There's still a lot to do, so I might have to pop out of here, but you go ahead and enjoy yourself, okay?
Yeah, about that, the traveler began, only to be cut off again.
What? Is there a problem? Oh, I get it. Too many sugary things. Silly me. You probably want something more manly, right? Grrr! I totally get you. Of course, I always like sweets, so I always forget. Don't worry. I'll go get you something.
It's not that, the traveler interjected hastily, very much afraid Pinkie Pie would steamroll him with another unstoppable tirade. It's just, I can't pay for this much. Pinkie Pie paused and blinked, and then she just stared at him, her mental activities grinding to a halt like a hamster that tripped on its wheel. Then, the meaning of his comment dawned on her, and the pink-haired girl burst into fresh peals of laughter.
Hoo-wee! And I thought I was the silly one here.
Pinkie Pie gasped through her fit of gagging.
Gigging. Giggling, not gagging. Jeez. What's...
My bad. Pinkie Pie gasped through her fit of giggling.
Don't worry, it's all party food, so you would have gotten it anyway. Just think of it like a pre-party snack.
The traveler could only eye Pinkie Pie with a mix of incredulity and disbelief. He'd been told people from Ponyville were neighborly, but this, well, this was just unexpected. You sure about this? He asked again, his eyebrow raised in question.
Sure,
Pinkie Pie beamed.
Dig in.
With one last look at his unexpectedly generous host, the traveler picked up his fork and took a bite out of a nearby cherry turnover. Now, even for breakfast, this man would never have expected to enjoy a meal consisting entirely of sugary treats. But after the first bite, the fresh, flaky crusts, juicy fruit fillings, and sweet fluffy frosting made it really, really hard to stop. And so he ate. Pinkie Pie meanwhile happily jabbering away about anything and everything that happened in Ponyville. The traveler could barely make out half her rapid-fire comments, and understood even less than that. But he did have to admit, good food and friendly, if overwhelming, company made the meal a very pleasant change of pace.
And that's why Derpy isn't allowed to drive a wagon by herself anymore.
His chattery hostess concluded, as the traveler polished off the remains of an entire apple pie.
But I never did ask, what brings you out to Ponyville anyway?
Aw, that. The traveler set down his fork and reached into his coat. I'm supposed to find Miss Twilight Sparkle, he said, reaching the name off a small piece of parchment. You know where she might be?
Twilight, huh?
Pinkie Pie mused, brow furrowed in thought.
Well, she's helping out with the organizing, and I know I'm supposed to be getting a big shipment of apples from the orchard. You could probably find her at Applejack's, just down the road there.
Say, she said, her eyes brightening as her face stretched into an ear-to-ear grin.
Want me to go with you? I could totally show you where it is.
That'd be nice. The traveler began hesitantly. But don't more apples mean more baking. When Pinkie Pie heard this, her smile disappeared as she slapped herself on the forehead. Hard.
Shoot! You're right!
She said, rubbing the spot she just struck. Apparently, it had been a little too forceful, even for her.
That means I gotta stay here, and you'll be all alone.
She looked genuinely forlorn, and the traveler was afraid she might actually break out into tears. However, just as quickly as the glum expression appeared, it vanished, replaced once again by a face-splitting grin.
Wait, why am I being so silly? I was so busy feeling sad that I totally forgot about the party. You can go ahead to Applejack's. It's just straight down the road to your left. You can't miss it. And I'll stay here and bake the best goodies ever and meet you at the party later. That's perfect. I'll see you later then. I've got pies to bake.
And with one last smile, the excitable girl bounded off into the kitchen, looking for all the world like a pink hurricane on the run. It took a moment for the traveler to figure out what had just happened, and considering the whirlwind pace of Pinkie Pie, who could blame him? But however it had come about, at least he now had directions to find Twilight Sparkle. So picking up his baggage, the traveler stepped out the door and down the road towards the orchard. And that is Chapter 1 of When the Man Comes Around, Book 1 of the Journey of Graves. Now, my throat's been a little messed up the last couple of days, so I'm sorry if this came out a bit hoarse. Get it? Horse! I'm so clever! No, but seriously, yeah, it might have came out a bit hoarse. Also, I'll try to work on Graves' voice. I still don't really know how to do it. I mean, I'm not exactly Kevin Conroy or David Hayter, who are only known for low, grovelly voices. But, yeah, I'll try something different. And from what I said before, I would really appreciate the voice acting help. If you are female, I don't need a guy doing Fluttershy. I'm sorry. I don't want that. If you can help me with that, that'd be great. You get credit, you get sprites, you get to be in some stuff. And we can finish this story together, okay? We could be the best of friends. And until I say otherwise, the position is open. So, please? Pretty please? Okay, bye! See you in chapter 2!
Party at Little Bee, sing Masala, best party of all. We'll always be a party at Little Bee.